So we're switching. Am I
Yeah,
swapping?
we're switching. Yeah, we're switching. We're switching.
Okay.
We're switching.
Good.
All right, we're here.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 29. I am your host, Blue Squadron, as always, joined by my co-host, Tiltus.
Hello, I am Tiltus TV. I am a Dark Knight main. I stream Dark Souls, and I do armored combat in full suits of armor.
Right on. And my boy, Jacob.
Hi, I'm J-Kun, VT, V before the T. I'm an Awakening Musume with 760 gear score. I do a lot of endgame PvE content such as Olin's the Dungeons, and I also finished the Telescope grind the other week. So we're back on the Devil Earring grind until Ator shows come out. And welcome to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 29.
All right.
Yeah.
Yo, big
we did.
spenders.
We-
Okay.
We made,
We made it. Yeah.
we made
Every week we're like, oh my god, look how far we're going, you know.
How much farther are we going? You know.
Exactly. Yeah. Jay's like, it's kind of getting hard carrying this thing. All right, so today we're going to be starting off our discussion with the brand new Consart changes that are they on the global labs yet? They're on the global labs, yeah.
They're actually coming out tomorrow, according to the
okay.
Taiwan patch notes. I checked them, so
Okay, right on.
I guess I'll start explaining about what the changes were.
Well-
and so, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so Consart, just for our listeners that probably don't know what it is. Consart is an alchemy stone that you get from the guild boss Kahn, or at least this is how it used to work. And it drops as Khan's concentrated magic, and you could turn it into one of three stones. Well, most of the time people only turn that into the life skilling stone, because that was the only thing that was super valuable. The DP stone only had 1 DP on it. Its stats were just not as good as the resplendent. And then the AP one was a joke, and was just an objectively worse Velsheart. So they've decided to make changes to this, and Jay, go ahead and take us through that.
Yeah, so the change they made to the stats itself for the destruction and protection stones specifically, the life stone was not touched, but for the destruction one, they added 1 more sheet AP, so it's 2 total, and then 1 more DP sheet for the protection, which is 2 total. And so I don't know if players will still want this. It does seem still, it's still inferior in stats in terms of like the Velshearts, but they did, one big thing they did make is that the acquisition of it is much easier now. They've added a weekly that you can do 3 times, and each weekly gives you 1 faint magic, and when you complete it 3 times, you get total 3. You can combine 3 into 1 concentrated magic, which you can then craft into the consort of your choice, and these can be sold. And they did raise the cap up to 10 bill. So it's essentially like a free consort.
Oh, it's always good to force Blue to spend his hard-earned silver on it and then make it a 3-week wanting done Tuvala. Like there's some dude that just started the game. It's like, I got one. Like, okay, well, that's great. How do you guys feel about making it this easy to get? Tiltus?
We'll go first.
So here's the thing. Because Kahn has always been kind of poopy to get, I have literally never done Kahn once in my life, and the stats have always just been significantly inferior to the Velsheart. So I think this is probably a step in the right direction for Kahn to make it worth getting a group together in your guild and going out and actually doing the boss. Because I know people that have done it an infinite amount of times, basically, and have never got Khan's heart drop. So this is probably a good step to make it attainable, because right now it's like, it's like the same drop rate as Vel's heart, but less worse stats. Yeah, like
worse drop rate and worse stats.
Yeah, so like what's the point in doing it besides like going out and dragging your guild by the teeth to come do it? I know Blue always likes to joke about there will be no unionizing. We will not unionize to do Kahn.
I hated it. Oh my gosh.
So maybe now there's a reason to actually go do it, especially if I can do like 3 and get the life skill one. Like, okay, like you've kind of convinced me a little bit. Like maybe I should go do Kahn. So this is probably a good change, I think, all around the board.
Okay, so as he just alluded to, I hated Kahn. I had to run it when I was the GM of Dismantled. We ran it for like the first like 4 or 5 months that Dismantled was a thing. Keep in mind, it was a new and returning player guild, so getting those kids to do stuff was like the easiest thing in the entire world. They were like, oh my god, what a guild boss! Oh wow! And then like we would like sail out there. It takes like 10 minutes to get out there. You get the whole guild out there. Everybody's got to sit on a cannon. Like no one gets to have it. Nobody with like without gear gets to have any fun. Like I'm yelling at them, showing them how to do the thing. Then we have to like they get their loot and they sail back and then they open up the bundles and stuff and they're like, wait, this was kind of garbage. And I was like, that's the fun part. It's terrible. Like, and so every week we had at least 20 or 30 people at Kahn every single week for like 4 or 5 months straight through basically. No one ever got concert, just to be clear. Not a single person ever got we did it at the maximum difficulty every single week, and no one ever got it. It was ridiculous. I hated leading it because it was a total nightmare. And like Tilta said, I used to when we stopped doing it, every time someone's like, we should do Kahn, I was like, we will not have unionizing in this branch. I will shut it down. I will shut it down. It was just incredibly hard to get. So like the only way to really get Kahn's Heart was to just put an order on it and buy it. Right. And I have one. That's the funny thing. I love how they increased the price, like thinking that like it's gonna go up. Like why? Do you guys feel like it's gonna go up? Like I don't. Like maybe the APDP ones serve as like an intermediate Vels for some players, but like, well, like I don't. So like the intermediate AP one serves as an intermediate Vels. The DP one, I don't really know. I guess I do the weekly just to get that one for my DP set. Although like I don't think the stats on it are changing, so I still think that the Resplendent is probably better.
Yeah, the regular alchemy stone is probably better.
Yeah, and so like I don't know, man. The only one that's still worthwhile is the life stone. Am I wrong about this?
No, yeah, you're right. The life stone is still going to be the most relevant one. It's the only one that has a niche compared to the other ones, because there's other things that fill that same niche for the protection and the destruction stone, whereas the life skill one is the only one that gives mastery as a other than the what's it called, the Stella's spirit stone, but that one is it's expendable, whereas the life one is rechargeable. So
dude. Like again, like I don't know. Like what are the all right? Okay, let's just do one step at a time. We'll do the life skilling one because this is the one everybody's familiar with. But the life skilling one gives let's see, the alchemy cooking time reduction 1.3 seconds, processing rate 13%, weight limit plus 70, and nobody gives a shit. Gathering and fishing speed plus 2, but a gathering item drop rate plus 12%, and then its overall effect was that it gives all your life skill mastery plus 25 when it is equipped. So like that's like the really big thing that life skillers I know were using. They like the really hardcore life skillers will like use another life zone and then just swap them while it's on cooldown so that they get the mastery and stuff. So that's still really good. And so like, do you think it changes? Do you think that this has any sort of impact on the life skilling stone at all, other than the fact that the market probably crashes for it?
Yeah, I was gonna say the market probably crashes for that one. Maybe it recovers in a couple of months when everybody starts buying up all their Kahn's Hearts and like there's less people doing it and stuff like that. Maybe it starts to go back up in price, but I see in the like next, I'd say probably like 3 or 4 months, it's probably gonna crash really hard before it goes back up, because people are gonna be getting them one every 3 weeks. I mean, 3 weeks from now, people are going to be rolling in Kahn's Hearts, and which one are they going to go for? Probably the life skilling one, which is the most relevant out of the 3. So,
I mean, dude, this is bullshit, dude. I spent like 10 or 11 bill on my Kahn's Heart, bro. And now they're basically making it 3 weeks. Right? Like, what? So why do you guys think that? Do you think they're just trying to make it like a new player like item? Is that where we're going?
So I was gonna say I think the consort was supposed to be some sort of like stepping stone into Vel's heart. I also think they initially introduced consort as something completely different back then, as like a, I don't know if you remember back in 2018. Really old players will remember this. In the global labs, there was this upgrade method for Vel's heart that used the Khan's heart. If you use the destruction stone, it would roll an additional 1 to 3 AP to your Vels, and if you use the DP stone, it was an additional I think it was 3 to 6 DP to your Vels. But you know, that never came out because obviously it was super heavy RNG.
Yeah, it was an upgrade really path RNG with your Vels heart. It was insane. But
so, I initially thought that was going to be the way that Khan's heart was going to, the purpose was, but now it's like kind of like it took a step back and now it's that stepping stone, and I think that's what they're trying to go for now. Like if I had to create, like I wish there was more clear progression path in terms of alchemy stones for players in general. Like the system has remained unchanged for so long, so if I had to suggest something, it would be that Khan's heart and Vel's heart should maybe double as both an alchemy stone you can use, like how you use it right now, as well as a reform stone similar to Garma's heart, where you could just add the 2 sheet AP from Khan's or add the 3 sheet AP from Vel's to a regular alchemy stone, or add the 25 mastery to a regular life alchemy stone, you know. And so that way the progression path is a lot more clearer for alchemy stones in general. So
yeah, I've got to say, I think it's hard to give up the 3 sheet AP for most players until you hit that very, very, very upper end where it's like, all right, I've hit my final AP bracket. Now I can get rid of my Vel's heart and I can start rolling for, you know, the best alchemy stone in the game, which is essentially where Jay's at. But that section of players, that group of players is so small in comparison with the general population of the people that play the game, that it's like maybe this method of getting your Khan's heart is a good stepping stone for players that are entering the game and trying to get their Vel's heart that haven't gotten it yet and don't have the money, but they can do 3 Khans because they're in an active guild, you know. So I do think this pushes players a bit more towards joining a guild as well, which I do think is a good thing, because like you can't do Kahn unless you're in a guild. So
you can merc, can't you? Can't you merc and get Kahn? I think
you can merc, yeah.
I don't know if you can merc to do Kahn anymore, because we recently ran into an issue with that where we were talking about mercing into another guild to get Khan's heart, and there was that guild knows way more about Kahn than I do, but we did run into an issue with that. I don't remember if it was just slots or what, but there was an issue that we ran into with trying to merc the guild in basically to do guild bosses. So you guys might want to double check on that.
Okay. I mean, like my chat's saying that, yeah, they merc in 10 people every week, but like, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe it's possible that they changed it, but even still, no, I think it really does push players toward joining a guild. I think that you should be forced to join a guild. Of all the things in the game, like I think it like or at least strongly encouraged right at the start. You know, we've talked about this many times, but like, I think that is a good change in and of itself. Is it okay? Let me float out an idea for you. This is going to sound crazy, so try and stay with the logic. Okay, did they do this for console? Because console doesn't have Vel's heart, and like it kind of seems like a little strange for PC to get something like this, because we don't really care. We're just going to take the life skilling one, but like it would be kind of a big upgrade for console. But this would be literally the first time in the company's history that they've actually changed something with the intent of actually helping that community. If I'm speaking freely, like most of the time they balance and they push. Okay, so to be clear, they obviously care about the console community. However, usually what they do is they're pushing the PC, right? They're pushing like the PC content, and they're always developing stuff for PC. This is the first time I've really seen them change something globally that really only benefits console. Like if I'm thinking about it, right? So like, do you guys think that that's possible, Tiltus?
Yeah, this is okay. In that aspect, it's definitely possible, because like you said, most of the PC players aren't going to care too much about this change, because
like
the life skilling one
sweet.
is not changing. So what's the purpose of having this? Maybe to have a DP one, you know, on the side that you can flex around, you know, maybe some other accessories or something like that. Maybe. But yeah, maybe this is a change for the console players, which is good because console players are neglected very heavily by Pearl Abyss, if we're being honest. So, maybe this is a step for them saying, "Hey, we acknowledge you guys don't have Vel. Here's a placeholder. Let me help you out a little bit."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jay, what are your thoughts on it?
No, yeah, I think Tilt has already touched on everything I was gonna say. Is that this is just a win for console, a W for once for console, because
Yeah.
they've usually been on the short end of the stick.
Taking L's, man. They're just taking L's.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
So, yeah,
I know people
go ahead.
now that have played console and tried console. There was a lot of people in the previous alliance that I was in that came to PC from console. They restarted entirely because console was so bad compared to PC port. And I know a lot of players now that have tried the console version because they didn't have a PC or for whatever reason, they didn't have a high-end PC to run BDO, and they were like, that game wasn't really for me. So maybe this is a step in the right direction for console to try to get the player base up a little bit. Because I know console players really struggle with BDO as a whole, I think. So
yeah,
maybe it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good option for console, but again, I've tried. I'm thinking this through, and this is just my past 10 minutes of thinking it through. But I really only see this as kind of a change for console, which is kind of to me the most impressive part about the whole.
I think brand new players too.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier for players to get that placeholder AP. If I'm getting 2 sheet AP for going to con 3 times a week, I could go to Vel 6 times in that same time, and there's no guarantee I'm going to get anything other than Cronstones. So, I think it is a placeholder also for brand new players that don't have anything to put in that slot right now. They're running the Spirit Destruction Stone. Okay, well this is an upgrade. So I think it helps those players too.
Is there another direction they could have gone in with this? So if we're looking at it from the PC perspective, for the AP and DP stones, the life stealing stone be set aside. I just sold mine. If I'm being honest, I literally just sold mine because I'm taking an L on that, financially, but I'd rather just sell it now before the market tanks. But if we're looking at this from the PC perspective, is there a different way that they should have gone with this? As far as the AP DP set, should they have made it rival Vels in some way? Would you guys have rather seen that, or are you okay with this way?
I kind of when I was talking about progression path, I was thinking perhaps because how when you get a cons heart, that's it, you just have a cons heart. But what if there was a way to upgrade the cons heart into a Vel's heart? Maybe that would be again a much more clear progression path, and that would make it a lot more streamlined and easier for new players to understand. Hey, cons is first, and then Vel's is the next one, etc., etc. So that's what I'm thinking.
That's actually a super smart idea. That's again a win for console if they do that. Because they still don't, they don't even have Vels, so that would be the avenue.
They could add a system. Even if they don't have Vels, they could add a system where you could upgrade their cons heart from console into a Vels using some other method that can be applied to both PC and console. Let's say you keep doing con, and you can get pieces of Vels magic, and that you can add onto your con that will upgrade it into Vels, and that's a way for console to get Vels.
I think,
as well as another method for PC. So.
Yeah,
I think I actually like that idea because in that aspect, maybe it gives you a way to upgrade the DP Constone, which would be huge, I think, for DP builds. If there was a way to make the DP Constone equivalent to a Vel's Heart that we have now, that would be a good step for DP players, especially in uncapped content, open world content. So maybe that's something that they should look at, because I was going to say, nobody's taking the DB stone here, right? If you're a brand new player, you're getting the AP stone.
That's
if
true.
you're a
The
current
DP stone
player,
is still irrelevant.
You're getting a lot. Yeah, if
Still
you're a current
useless,
player
though.
with a Vel's Heart, you're getting the life skill one. So where does the DP one fall in this? Above to the DP stone is whatever, because it's only 2 DPs. So realistically, does that even take a spot of one of your accessories? Can you hit the 410, or is it 420? Is 420 the last DP bracket?
No, you mean DR?
Yeah,
Like,
DR
like
bracket.
DR
Yeah.
bracket. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like 420 somewhere in there.
Yeah. So like, is this really helping you hit that DR bracket with this buff? Probably not.
I mean, they're getting
So,
Perillas for free, right? So like, there's actually just no reason
yeah,
to take
like there's no reason to
protection.
take the DP stone. I don't think at all. So maybe if there was an upgrade path to where you could make
Mhm.
the Khan's Heart equivalent to a
I-
Vel's Heart, but for DP
Mhm.
version, like maybe then you can start substituting out, you know, additional accessories and stuff like that. Maybe
So
then
I had
it's
a
good.
crazy idea. So what if you could wear one of each type, but you can only use the effect of one at a time. So you could wear both all three destruction, protection, and life type alchemy stones, but then you can only activate one of each, and then you could still take advantage of the sheet stats if need be.
You mean kind of like the
Uh,
T10 system? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
like the T10, like the super stable thing for the T10, kind of like that, where you could just like switch between them.
kind of.
Like,
yeah,
if you had all
kind of.
three in your
So,
inventory.
Mhm.
I imagine you have like a triangle, right? And at the top of the triangle
Yeah,
is like
triangle,
your
yeah.
active Vel's Heart,
Mhm.
and the other two are just giving you the sheet stats.
Mhm.
Maybe then you take, but like 2 DP is so minuscule in the grand scheme of things, and the life skill one doesn't actually offer you any sheet, anything. It only activates when it's active. I guess the 25 mastery, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that the DP one needs a massive buff. If they're trying to make it rival Vel's Heart or rival the other Khan's Hearts, like that one's just significantly worse on paper.
Yeah, that's what I mean by like the progression path on alchemy zones is just so unclear. Like like you have to invest in one direction and then you hit a wall, right? If you invest in Khan's Heart, that's a wall. If you invested Vels, that's a wall for Splendids. If you go to Splendid, that's a wall because you can't get the sheet stats or whatever. And so that's why I feel like they should integrate a system or introduce a system that will integrate all three so that you're never hitting that wall. It's something you need to like, as a path. Now it's a pathway instead of a wall,
Well, I mean, like they're in a tough position, at least on console. Like thinking about it from the console perspective, because even if they do manage to somehow get Vel out, right, just like the boss or whatever, or like give it a weekly, then now you're in a position where the entire player base has been waiting for Vels forever. You have thousands and thousands of players that don't have Vels that need Vels. It would just sit hopelessly at maximum price, and like it would continue to be a problem for years to come. It would never go away, right? For like the next 10 years, you're never going to feel that. It's like they would need a way to make it like a weekly thing, right? Like to give it to all the players low key. So like I actually agree with Jay's assessment. I think that like they should basically make the AP one be able to like upgrade into like a Vel's Heart. Maybe you have this is gonna be crazy, but maybe you have a way that you can upgrade, like guarantee upgrade an alchemy stone with a Khan's Heart. Like if you had like a resplendent alchemy stone and you needed to upgrade to splendid, and you used like maybe it's a Kron stone system or something for the for like resplendent alchemy stones, trying to get the splendids. Like that would make the supply and demand, that would make it reasonable, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Like I think the alchemy zone system has pretty much remained unchanged like forever for the most part.
Dude, it's pretty messed up.
Which
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been touched.
Which I was going to talk about, like the whole idea of like pity systems or fail stack systems that should be added to other things. And since we're speaking of alchemy stones, I think like now would be the time to add one, or in the near future, because most of the players who played the game for so long, they know how slow and brutal the process of alchemy stones are. So whether it be to add a pity system or a fail stack system or console system to the alchemy stones to make it easier, I think there'll be definitely players who'd be like, oh, that would diminish the efforts of those who did acquire this splendid before Nisa. Well, I personally simply view this as the same thing that happened to infinite potions with the pity system or mythical horses with the T10 fail stack system. New systems are just going to continuously be added to the game to make it easier to acquire certain things. I think that's just a natural thing that just happens, and we just got to move forward with it. And I do think alchemy stones are something that might be something in the future that we could have it easier for. So there are many people who were attempted many attempts on the T10 fail stacks, like me. If you guys don't know, I did 68 fail stacks, attempts for my T10. before the failsafe system, and then I did another 30 attempts to try to get a unicorn before the failsafe system, and then then they announced failsafes like right after like I'd been attempted. But there's like I don't regret anything. I don't regret like not saving because I would not have known, and there was no way for me to know that they were going to add a failsafe system. So
or you could just get
this
Yar
helps me in the future. Yar, yeah, but
I mean, like I honestly,
That's
I
the name of Blues T10.
I hate you. 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 I'm thinking FBI and SWAT are gonna come through Jay's window for leaking the Calpheon ball details. I think they're actually just gonna come through the window. I think Jay, like Jay from Korea is just on the phone right now. It's like, yep, that's not the right Jay. Get him. Get him.
Oops.
I think like maybe we are getting an alchemy stone rework for the Calpheon ball, and like the Consart is kind of like a preempt to that.
Yeah, they're preparing for it.
We've seen them. Yeah, we've seen them do stuff like this before, and then they blindside us with one of these changes or whatever, right? So it's definitely possible that's a thing. As far as this is like a pity system. It's like, and I think this is a super generous pity system. This isn't just
100%.
This is like 3
this
weeks.
could have been like
pathetic.
12 or 16
exactly
very easily.
Yeah, I was like, why would you not make it like at least like a 10-week pity system? You know what I mean? 1 bill a week basically for doing your guild's guild boss. Now you're talking like, and this is Value Town, right?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. So like,
I mean, if any of these ever hit max price, I mean, you're making essentially what, almost 3 bill a week just for going to do Kahn once.
yeah.
I mean, because at the end of 3 weeks, you're selling one of them for 10 bill. So
I mean, that's crazy.
if it
dude.
ever makes it to that point,
Oh, it's not going to be 10 bill.
no.
I
don't
guarantee you it
the
takes
only
to
one
4
I ever
probably.
see,
Probably
the
the
only
min.
one I ever see hitting 10 bill is a life skilling one, and I see that hitting 10 bill in like 4 or 5 months when the like con hype has died back down and like players aren't doing it actively, and then it goes back up. But they're gonna be bottom for a minute.
I don't know, man. There's just always new ways to go get it. So like if I was a player that was like looking to get into life skilling, I would probably just go do the weeklies every week instead of buying it. You know what I mean? So like, and I think that the supply in a few months is going to outweigh demand dramatically. There's not that many life skillers out there, and like the other ones are just going to min out immediately. I think the life skilling one also mins out. It might take a little bit longer, but like I don't know, man. Like there's already a bunch. Actually, I don't think so. I think that like there's already a bunch of life ones in circulation, and I think it'll probably min out. I think all 3 probably min on PC at least basically immediately, and I think that it basically permanently stays that way. And so like that's why I think that this change is just a little bit weird, and why I think that like PC we don't really care, right? We're like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude, nobody gives a shit. But like I really do think that like they had console in mind when they made this change, which is interesting. But as far as the pity systems go, I kind of want to touch on what Jay said. Are there any other systems in the game that we need a pity system? Garmoth. Don't you dare tell me. Don't you dare tell me that.
I was gonna say
don't
that.
worry. There's a quest. There's a quest you can do if you want to do Numer 876 times. Like, get out of here. You know what I mean? We make cons 3 weeks. Where is the Garmoth's 3 week, like, you know what I mean?
It's only the most essential item that you will get as a high-end player in the entire game, besides maybe a handful of crystals. So, like...
Yeah. Are there any other things in the game that, like, I know, my suggestion is Garmoth needs a pity system, and don't give me the quest. Like, they need to bring it down to, like, okay, you can get it in 4 weeks or less. And you don't have to, like, constantly be sniping Nuver. Screw that.
Yeah,
like just do like a guild boss or something for like
with my
4
current
weeks.
Work schedule. I can do max of like maybe 4 Nuvers a week, like 4 or 5 Nuvers a week. Do you know how long it's going to take me to do that quest to get Vel's heart or Garmoth's heart? It's going to take forever.
It's basically like that's the problem with it. It's just basically impossible, dude. Like
they should just add a weekly that gives 100 Nuver skills. There you go. And then you can finish it in 4 weeks. There you go.
No, literally solved. Like unironically solved right there. Done.
Yeah, there you go.
You just slap the duct tape on like the water coming out of
the flex tape.
Exactly. Damn, you know what I mean? It solved it. I think that honestly that would work for Garmoth. Is there anything else in the game that you guys want to see like a pity system added to? Like Jay?
Well, Vel's heart, right? Vel's heart is still like super hard to get for a new player. So why not?
Yeah, but
just
now
add
it's like now they've got like a stepping stone though. Like, do they really need like if they add a pity system for Vels, why would you go for cons, right?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, true.
I think there are some items in the game that are worth having no pity system for. I think some of the treasure items are fine. I think probably Vel's Heart, honestly, with the changes to Khan's Heart, like if I can go get an AP Khan's Heart as a brand new player that's fresh off seasonal in 3 weeks, while I'm also doing, 2 Vels a week, I'm probably just going to go get the Khan's Heart and just use it in the meantime until I get my Vels. Like, go to my Vels. Now it's not such a sink that it's like, okay, my next upgrade, I have to save up 16 bill to get my Vel's Heart. There is no other way around it. It's like with this, I'll go do my con, 3 times. Okay, I've got my con's AP Heart. Now I can focus on other upgrades. And then when I get to the point that I'm like, man, I really need that 1 AP, then I can go, buy my Vels or, whatever. But I think there are some items in the game that are worth not having a pity system for, and I think Vels might be one of those, only with the cons change. I think before the cons change, maybe you could have argued that, but I think now it's like, if I'm a new player, like, I'll just go do my cons and then go get my Vels eventually. It'll come to me eventually. So,
I was gonna say certain lightstones, like I know it's still like really hard to get like strike lightstones, and I was just thinking maybe, hey, like maybe you could craft it eventually, like maybe like crafting materials for it could cost double, but hey, that's a way to get it without having to RNG it or try to get it from the market. So maybe that would be a way to make it easier, is to have a craftable way in a sense. Like it is a pity system where you could trade in the extra lightstones for magical lightstone materials, and maybe that would be the material for it, and that's like the sort of pity system for it.
Yeah. So like so getting away from, like, is there anything else like gear wise, like away from Garmos and life skill like alchemy stone? We keep adding pity systems to the game for like the HP potion, Khan's Heart. They have, gosh, what else do they have pities for? They started, actually, pity systems started with the world bosses. To get like, like that's how you got your boss
auras,
gear.
Right?
Yeah, your latent auras, right?
100.
So like, yeah, dude. Yeah, a little less forgiving on the latent auras there, which, by the way, still has not changed. I'm pretty sure you can still cash in 100 latent aura for 1 base dandelion box.
Yeah,
like is there anything else in the game that really needs like a pity system? Do you guys feel that, like, I feel like a T9 should probably no, because like it's got fail stacks, right? Like
fail stacks.
T10 now has fail stacks. What else do we feel is like critical gear? Can the journals have a pity system? Like if I work on it for like 15 hours, can they all just be done? Can we have that? Like, just give me the stats after I run around aimlessly looking for adventure for like my 180th Dokebi chest. You know what I mean?
I don't know if there's really anything else that like really comes to mind. Somebody in your chat mentioned fairies. I see maybe a pity system for getting your right fairy skills, or getting, a T4 fairy, maybe if you're a brand new player. But
maybe you could craft Theozorbs, because Theozorbs only from the Pearl Shop, but maybe you could craft it, but it would be quite pricey.
Oh, I would love a pity system for the fairy, especially for like the fairy skills.
Yeah, the fairy skills specifically, not so much the fairy, because I feel like Layla's petals are relatively easy to get. But maybe for skills, maybe a fail stacking system or a pity system or something, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe there's like, could you have a pity system for Manos? Is like one of my thoughts. And I'm not just saying that.
No, you have to fail 42 times in a row.
You shut your mouth. You let me have this. Do you understand? I am theory. I'm allowed to have this. I'm not just saying it because I failed Pride to Duo chess piece 45 times in a row, which is literally the equivalent of hitting 2 Pen Dead Gods back to back. Like, I failed a 25% chance 44 times in a row. Give me a pity system. Like it's actually unreal. Like, do you think that like Manos has a fixed enhancement race, and there is no pity system for that? Do you think that they could implement something like that, Jay?
Yeah, definitely. I think the difficulty of acquiring pen Manos gear is it costs way more than the actual price of it on the market. And so definitely that would be, at the same time, it's like I think they'll do that only when they add more brackets in the future, because I think people are already hitting 2K mastery like easily without pen Manos gear. And so I feel like if they're going to add a new system to make it easier to get pen, it would be after they would add more.
Yeah.
Like past 2000.
Okay. Tiltus, how do you feel about?
No, I think you have to suffer.
I hate you.
No, I as somebody who also enjoys life skilling, there's nothing that terrifies me more than tapping fucking Manos accessories. So maybe we give some kind of fail stacks or pity system for, you know, tapping so many, you know, Manos accessories. Maybe they dissolve into nothing and you get an item, and you know, after 100 items you can trade it in for a Tet or something like that, you know, maybe then.
So instead of the concentrated gem to upgrade your pen Manos, you use a Khan's Heart of Life.
Oh, there you go.
And
Problem solved.
We'll tie the two systems together. We'll
yeah, there you go. Easy.
You hate
easy
me.
fix.
I literally just sold my Kahn. I hate you. I hate you. Like, okay, all right, let me cook for a second, okay? But like, what if they added a pity system so that you could get the tent? Like the Pearl Shop tent. Yeah.
Oh.
What if they added
they want to make their
system?
money? No shot.
Well, of course they're gonna make their money, but like, let's be honest. Most people, if you made it like a 60-day system or something, most people are just gonna buy the tent anyway. But like, at least it would give free to play players like an avenue.
They could add a, you know, like each the campsite parts, there's like, you know, the shop, the repair thingy, the anvil, whatever. They could make a like a treasure item of the anvil and the shop and all that stuff, and then that would be a way for free players to acquire the sort of nap heart tent by doing like a
free
grinding for a treasure.
The pity tent gives you like this tent, but it like looks like like you got it from Walmart instead of REI. You know what I mean?
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, what a flex it is. Yeah, what a flex it would be to have the pity system tent and it just have a different model than the one you buy on the cash shop. Can you imagine?
Again, it's like when you set up your tent. I remember when I was backpacking recently, my buddy comes out and we're both setting up our tents, and I've got like this really nice like bivy sack, you know what I mean, that I'm setting up to and I look over and he has like this tent from like Walmart with like 2 poles. It's not stopping anything. The rain fly is like a little teepee hat. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, if it rains, you're just dead. I think that would be kind of funny, but like also I think it would probably improve a lot of quality of life stuff. It would help the pay to win argument, especially it might help calm people down a little bit over the Cronstone changes, which I think people are still just a little bit upset about. But okay, all right, it's time. We got to move on to the next thing. We're literally 45 minutes on one thing. Okay. All right, so this is really one of the first times we've ever seen PA. They do not do this very often, where they buff items after they have already released them. Typically, like in terms of like raw stats, like just adding stats to an item or like anything like this. Is there anything else in the game? I know, Jay, this is one of your topics. I'll let you lead it off. Is there anything else in the game you'd love to see like reworked like this?
Yeah, so I think the devs have done a pretty good job of like, you know, keeping certain items continuously relevant throughout the years. And I think a good example are the accessories. Like for the most part, a pen ogre ring is still a very powerful item today. Since when did it release? Like whenever Calpheon got released, like back in 2016, 2017, right?
Yeah.
So it's still relevant today, like 6-7 years later.
Yeah.
And if I were to suggest for items, it would be adding more set bonus to currently existing items. So for example, like, you know how like the 3-set Deboreka bonus is a thing? I think set bonuses for wearing matching cam accessories like Narc earrings, Voltara belts, Ronos rings could be a set bonus, or matching Valencia accessories like Layton's Power Stone, Ring of Crescent Guardian, Basilisk Belt could be set bonus, or matching Odalita accessories like Ominous Rings, Turos Belt, and the obvious matching Tongrad accessories could have a set bonus, and that would be a way they could change it to keep those accessories still relevant alongside Deboreka bonuses. So.
Okay, that's an interesting take. Tiltus, what do you think? Like item buffs after release. I'm like, if you want me to go, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead and go, because
I know you're kind of.
I'm gonna probably pull something out of my ass that's like deep in the lore here.
Yeah,
so.
right. I'm thinking. So I think back to green offhands.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to all of the useless gear that is in the game currently, like Grunil and Rokaba, and I don't even like and every other armor set that
Heave, Hercules.
Oh, dude, yeah, like
Luck of Fortuna, Talus.
Oh yeah, I was about to say I had a Talus helmet back in the day. Like like all of these essentially useless armor sets that have basically become like this. I like what they did for these before is they kind of mulched them into each other, right? Like they're like, okay, now you can scrap them from fail stacks if you have them enhanced, or you can do this, that, or the other thing. Like what if they just like buffed, especially like the weapons, to be like relevant? It doesn't have to rival the boss weapons, but like you could make it close, right? Like yeah, and like this weapon is for this
back
spot.
on that. You can't have that.
You
can't have green weapons that rival boss gear. We already got rid of that.
I'm just throwing it out there as a suggestion.
We already added
I'm
10% special attack damage to boss weapons to get rid of the green weapons, Blue.
Like what if it like the Aswell axe says that, like you don't lose AP when it rains, and everybody looks around and they're like, wait, you lose AP when it rains? You know what I mean?
What an underutilized system, honestly.
I know, right? Like that would be like there's a lot they could do with that, but like I think that they could make it like really like PvE. That's how they could really diversify their PvE content, is to like super jack up some of the green weapons and even some of the green armor. Like if you have the green armor on, okay, yeah, you're probably going to be a lot less likely to die, but at this particular location.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know, Jay, you're the PvE lord of everything.
I disagree.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to have to build another 8 armor sets.
Want to have to? Yeah. That was the same issue. Like with the green offhands, is that they were, because of things that changed around it, they were performing better than the boss weapons. And I personally thought that the boss weapons should be best instead of a green offhand for certain cases. I think the boss offhand should be like best for everything, because that's what they were kind of designed for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they should be. I think.
know,
but
I know. I was talking about like build diversity and stuff, and but in this case, I feel like the build diversity is not the right way, and so I think they should keep build diversity in a way that it is just for the end game gear rather than the early game gear.
Okay. So Tiltus, you got anything that should be buffed after it has now already been released? I got another good one if you don't have one yet.
I think there are definitely some yellow accessories that could definitely stand to be buffed in a unique way. The item that jumps out to me the most is the Seraph's necklace, because there used to be a time when you built Seraph necklaces because you were waiting to make your ogre ring, and now the Seraph necklace, which is a yellow item, just is entirely irrelevant. Nobody makes those unless you're going for HP on Captain Node Wars, which is like the most niche thing ever. So there are definitely some yellow accessories that could stand some love. But if we're not touching like green and blue like weapons and accessories to make them like niche at least, then like there's not really anything that like immediately comes to mind that's like this needs a buff.
I was actually thinking, okay, first of all, T10 Dine. Buff it. Okay, it's garbage. That shit needs to be buffed. All right, I'm just throwing that out there. Like that.
I was thinking items, not horses, but
okay, yeah, but like I'm still like that. That just needed to be said. Had to be said. That being said, how about DP accessories or even hybrid accessories like the Ronaros rings and the
Yeah.
Orc and Rad belts, and like make like I know that Jay, you're kind of against this diverging build path thing with the green stuff, but how do you feel about making the hybrid build path a little bit more viable?
No, yeah, I definitely like I'm on the same page on you with that. Like I would love if more hybrid accessories were a little bit more powerful, like the Sissel's necklaces or the Forest Roneros rings, the Orkenrad belts. It could be a cool idea to have unique build paths for those accessories. Like they have their only unique upgrade way. Like they have their own unique cup or something that would give them more a hybrid
That's
you know,
interesting.
like for example, like Orkenrad is a mixture of AP and evasion, and so they have a cup specifically for that belt that gives them more AP and evasion, and then same thing with the Ronoros rings and et cetera, et cetera. I feel like the cup system could be utilized more, because right now the cup system is you get your cup and that's it. There's just the HP cup and the crit cup. I feel like there's way more. That's kind of like the build diversity I want, is that way more cup options, you know? So
Yeah, I could totally see that being a thing. Like if I go to Ranaros and I grind my mind to the ends of the earth and I want to go insane grinding Ranaros, but I've got a Ranaros cup that makes my Ranaros ring actually relevant, then like that would be huge. Same with the Orkenrad and stuff like that. Like if you tell me right now that I can go to Desert Fogans and I can grind a cup out that makes my Seraph necklace actually mean something, I will go to Desert Fogans right now and I will become a red player and I will live in Moy Quinn and I will just murder anybody that comes in that spot for the rest of my days. Like, you know, like that stuff could be like actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, let's say the Syrup's Cup gives it equivalent AP to an Ogre Ring at Pen, and as well as at more HP, because that was
wild.
that was the thing that was the sort of defining factor for Syrups, was because it added a little bit of HP as well. I know there's like the HP cup, but maybe it could be more than that, maybe. Or equivalent. It could be equivalent to having a Moonlit Ogre Ring. Right, it could be 35 HP, 150 HP. Like that would be the unique upgrade cup for Syrups. Same thing with Roneros rings. The Roneros rings are 15 AP, 5 DP, right? 15 AP, 5 DP right now. And let's say the unique Roneros cup could add 2 more sheet AP. So it'd be 17 AP and 5 DP. So it'd be more like in line with kind of like the Orchid-Rad stats, right? Where it has 17 and 5, you know, and that would make it more relevant for hybrid players. So
that would be super fun, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's so niche, but it'd be so cool to see people like link their gear and it's like, I've got a cupped Seraph's necklace or I've got a cupped Ranaros ring.
Alpha.
It's like it's like, oh, this player is that guy, like he's him. That would be really fun, actually.
I mean, so like I think that that would probably work really well, but also like some of the DP accessories could use a serious buff as well. If I'm being honest, like I think that like the fact that Jesus is like the ring that you should do, and it's like this weird green ring that released when the game came out. It was like supposed to be garbage. I think that's kind of stupid.
That's gonna get fucking gutted if you bring it up.
Yeah, like I'm just I don't care. Fuck it, I don't care. I think that Cadres like they could make Cadres. They could just give Cadres like 5 more DR or something. Like they actually could just give it like 5 more DR, and I don't think anybody would care. Yeah, like buffing DR builds, even in in-game PvP, I don't think is necessarily a super bad idea, because I feel like evasion is plus, I mean, if you buff DP accessories, you're probably going to buff some of the evasion ones too, right? Like, it would also help make it so that some classes like Awakening Mystic felt meaningful in like uncapped large-scale PvP. So like, I think that if you're going to buff stats on stuff, I think the hybrid accessories are probably the go-tos, in my opinion. Also the T10 Dine. What do you think, like the like what would you add to like the Sissels? You guys mentioned Sissels specifically, so I'll focus on that. What would you give the Sissels? Would you? I don't think it really needs more AP. Would you give it just more evasion?
Yeah, I would give it more DP stats, defensive stats of some kind. The thought process that I actually had is since it seems that BDO is slowly transitioning away from PvP. What would be really interesting is if you could come up with a combination of items that allowed you to DPS things, and if you were allowed to DPS, why can I not think of Land of Morning Light the boss blitz? If you could DPS boss blitz bosses while in a phase that you weren't supposed to be able to DPS them because you have the extra, set bonus or extra stats from a, accessory, that would be really interesting because then you would see the meta change for like going for firsts. Also, I'm about to cough really hard. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Jay, how do you feel? Like, what do you think needs to be done to like these hybrid accessories? Is it just strictly the defensive stats that need to be buffed up? Just a bunch of evasion?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never built a hybrid set, so I'm not too sure exactly what they need. But when I think of hybrid, I think they're a lot more tankier, but can still DPS pretty well, but not as well as somebody who went glass cannon, and so maybe just a mixture of both is AP and DP, like just to stay true with the thematics of a hybrid accessory. So
okay. What if? All right. So I wish they would have done this for cups, but like, what if they made the cup upgrades? What if they released it kind of like how they released artifacts, where like they release a different cup upgrade for most of the grind spots in the game, and you just have to go you have to go to that grind spot to try to get your cup upgrade. I felt like that made BDO like super crazy interesting for a long time, because everyone was grinding all these different spots trying to get various upgrade like cup upgrades and stuff for their different gears and whatnot. Like, I mean, how do you feel about something like that?
Sounds pretty interesting.
Personally, I love it because one of my favorite times in BDO was right after the artifact dropped, and you had players. I had people in my guild that were grinding pirates. I had people in my guild that were grinding cadres. I had people that were in my guild that were grinding Stars End. Like, there are people literally at all corners of the BDO map that were actively grinding for those artifacts and grinding for those lifestone drops. That was just so entertaining to listen to, like to sit in a Discord call and be like, well, I'm grinding, Fogans or Nagas or something, or Gahas or something. And then it's like, okay, well, I've got people that are in pirates right now that are grinding for this, Lightstone drop or artifact drop. It was really cool to listen to because it was like the world suddenly felt alive. You were like, oh, I just ran into a player here. All right, I needed GVG at Sawsons because I'm grinding for my artifact, and people are here. It was wild.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. So I'm totally for adding cups to all the other areas that do very unique things, kind of similar to Lightstones or artifacts.
Okay, so now I have a question. Do you think that the cups need to be easier to get? Jay, we'll start with you. You're the PvE Lord. Do you think that cups need to be easier to get, especially if they add a bunch more of them?
I think they're at a good pace now, to be honest. Like with the whole like Marnie stones as well. Like you can bang out a cup in you can bang out 100 shards in like a good six hot hours or something. It's a lot easier nowadays to, like, before, back in 2020 when it was released, definitely that was a much harder grind because we didn't have as much drop rate, we couldn't kill as fast. But I do think that right now that players are killing all the Serendia moms now is a good pace, so around similar pace to what it is currently now. So
yeah, I'm actually going to agree with Jay on that one, because when I banged down my HP cup for my ring, which I did not too far, not super long time ago, it took me like 8 hours total. I think it wasn't that bad at all. I had 300% drop rate active all the time. I've, and I was banging out like 20 to 25 shards an hour for whatever it was I was going for. So it's really not that bad anymore.
Okay. All right. One last thing I want to touch on for like this item buff stuff. What do you think about like buffing some of the foods that maybe are not used as much?
Please.
Like, so kind of like we don't like I mean, we do see some like food rotations, but it's basically almost always the same food rotation every time. There's like 100 different meals in the game, and almost none of them really have a purpose buff wise. Like, would you guys like if they went in post and just changed, like, okay, we're gonna buff up all the stats on all these individual meals?
I think,
I guess Jay, I guess we'll go to you here.
Okay, I was just gonna say, what if instead of they buff the meals, they just reduce the the cooldown so you could just stack more meals, and that would be a way to sort of buff them because you get more meals active at a time.
Yeah. Like, yeah, but then I think the cron meal becomes irrelevant, doesn't it? Like, if you could have one more meal active, no one would ever be able to pop a cron meal because, like, you'd have to be using foods every time.
Well,
so, like,
I feel like it's the same sort of argument between like drafts and party elixirs, because you can either just run party elixirs and you just get more overall stats, but you can just run a draft and maybe that's all you need. And that's the same thing with cron meals, is that maybe the cron meal is all you need. And if you want to go for the extra mile, you could run a food rotation, and I think that's what the sort of what do you call it, the continuous care is for, is to be able to run multiple continuous buffs at a time, much easier, much more convenient. So
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, go ahead, Dils.
I see a really interesting suggestion in your chat, actually. What if you could take 4 meals and you could combine them together, regardless of what the meal was, to get the buffs from that meal that would run the same time as a cron meal? And it would pop exactly the same as a cron meal, but you would just take 4 of whatever meals that you wanted to add them together. So it was like,
you just click 4 meals and then boom, you have all their stats, and then
right,
pops all
and
4
then you
of them at
just
the same
pop
time.
one every 120 minutes or whatever it is, and then that would be on par mostly with cron, but you could really itemize very
you could
specific
customize it,
way.
yeah.
I like that a lot, actually. If
Being able to
if I-
combine meals basically
if I'm
into like new meals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because we already have that system. I mean, combining meals together is already a thing that exists for a good portion of the meals. Jungle Hamburger is like a great example. It takes like 2 or 3 meals combined and to make King of Jungle Hamburg.
Yeah.
So it would be really interesting to do that, and it's like that way it doesn't actually break the balancing of the game too much. Obviously there probably will become a meta for PvE and PvP, but if you're a niche player and you want an extra, say I'm doing an ecology grind and I want the extra knowledge, well, now I'm adding in a Dragonese meal to this rotation, and now I've got my extra knowledge buff and stuff like that. So I think that would be the best way to handle meals, because it allows for the niche builds that you want to do, as well as making all meals relevant again.
Yeah, I mean, like, man, like that. The complaint right now is like there's too many systems in Black Desert Online. Tiltus is just like, what if we added another one?
Another one to combine the systems, though.
Another layer. You know what I mean?
That's what video's good at. Just
layers.
add more layers, bro. It's like an onion, all right?
It's like Shrek,
Exactly. Like
layers.
he's talking about combining 4 different meals. The devs are over here like, oh my god, how many different combinations of 4 meals are there? You know what I mean?
There's a lot. Let me tell you, there's a lot.
That's a lot of different things. It would have to be some sort of system where you could just queue them up, and then it would just.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be an item called a lunchbox, and you could put 4 meals in there.
Perfect.
Yo, wait a minute.
Perfect,
Wait,
bro.
Jay's Gaming. Put him on the dev team, bro. Holy moly.
There you go. You don't have to make any brand new meals. You just put them in a lunchbox and it pops all at once, So
Perfect, man.
Wait, you're actually just. He's so smart, bro. Wait a minute. I don't know if he's smart because it's a good idea, or he's smart because the lunchbox name is so like on point. Like, I just like the lunchbox name so much. I don't even care how good the idea is. It's just, it needs to happen.
Jay's lunchbox, somebody said. There you go. It's perfect. In reality, it's the owner Jay, but we all know here that it's actually Jay Kuhn's lunchbox.
Right. Oh god, dude. Oh my god.
V before the T.
You're so stupid. You're so dumb. I like Jay gets hired at Perlibus, and it's like CM J Kuhn VT V before the T. Like, oh god, dude, get out of here. All right, boys, it does look as if we are out of time for episode 29 here. So let's go ahead and go closing thoughts and statements here. We'll start with Tiltus.
Yeah, I'm Tiltus TV. I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. I'm a Dark Knight main. I do Armored Combat. I stream very occasionally, when work's not beating the shit out of me. So, maybe I'll be live with some fun stuff soon in the near future. I don't know. It's Jay's
Wow,
turn now.
don't sound so doom and gloom.
I don't
All
know.
right. Jay, go ahead.
I'm Jay Kuhn. I'm an Awakening Musulman with 760 gear score. I do a lot of endgame PvE content such as Olins, the dungeons, the boss mods, and I just recently finished the telescope grind. So we're back on the Debo earring grind until a Tor Shoes comes out. It doesn't seem like a Tor Shoes is coming out. I was like really hoping it was coming out tomorrow, but according to the Taiwan patch notes, it is not coming out tomorrow. So I'm a little bit sad about that. But hey, we're gonna be continue to grind our Debo earring, and you can find me at jkun, twitch.tv/jkunvtv before the T.
All right, on. Okay, and I am Blue Squadron. Of course, there's always something going on this channel. Currently, we stream 4 days a week: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We do reactions. We do patch note content, podcast content, shot calling, VOD reviews. Gosh, what else do I do? Basically everything. Like we basically hit every spectrum of this, and then obviously I have a YouTube as well, where there's new YouTube videos every day, which are absolute bangers. So make sure you check that out. Guys, remember we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so if you want to listen to the podcast during the week, you can do so. Just it'll be up on my YouTube basically almost immediately following the broadcast, and then it'll be up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts in the morning as well on your way to work. So from all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, have a great rest of your week.